I consider myself a lifelong learner, and it's bad. Like in my brain, like I listen to maybe 3 podcasts every day, like different ones, and I'm reading and I'm taking classes. So I don't think that will ever end.
Hey everyone, it's Samantha, and welcome back to another episode of Paths. Paths is a program of LGBT tech that is focused on visibility and inclusion of LGBTQ plus folks in STEAM. Paths podcast allows us to talk to professionals across the LGBTQ plus community in various STEAM fields and get to hear their stories, from their background to how they got to where they are, to their advice for others on how to get into their fields and industries. Everyone's paths vary, are unique, and are incredibly insightful. Before we jump into this month's episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to show your support and never miss another episode.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
We're happy to have you here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time to participate in a Paths interview. We're really excited to learn more about you and your story. Could you just start us off today by introducing yourself, and if you could include your name and your pronouns, and also maybe a few words about how your friends would describe you?
Yes. Oh, that's a lot. Elaine Montilla, born and raised in the Dominican Republic. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm a tech executive, the founder of 5X Minority, a TEDx speaker, and an advocate for inclusive leadership in tech. My friends would describe me as someone who's really good at listening, a very spiritual and centered person. I would say that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm excited that we have the opportunity to listen to you today. So,
Yes, thank you.
could you tell us a little bit about how do you identify within the LGBTQ plus community, and if there are any other parts of your identity that are important for you to recognize, feel free to mention them as well.
Yes, I identify as a Latina lesbian, proud Latina lesbian. There are other identities for sure. I would say being an immigrant, women of color, and also the first person to go to college in my family. It's something that I'm very proud of.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a little bit about what you do professionally, and also how would you explain it to somebody who's never heard of your profession before?
Yes, so I'm on a break right now. My last role was a CTO in an ed tech industry. And at the senior level, I set the policies and procedures, lead the teams, and make sure that technologies are created that are safe for our customers. I also make sure that our employees feel safe being themselves around me because of my background. I'm also the founder of 5X Minority, and in that role, a lot of my time is spent creating content, shooting videos, writing articles, mentoring other women, and a lot of public speaking.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned as like one of the first descriptions of what you do is making employees feel safe. I think
That's
incredible.
important to me because I didn't have that when I
Mm-hmm.
was working in tech. I had to be really careful about who did I talk to, what did I say, and it really did not allow me to be my full self in the workplace, and that's the reason why I'm so passionate about it today.
So you mentioned you're from the Dominican Republic. Could you
Yes.
tell us about where you grew up and a little bit like what your community was like, and then also where you live now and what your community looks like now?
Yes, I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, specifically in the capital, in Santo Domingo. I was there until I finished high school. I was 16 going on 17. I moved to New York. I did not speak a word of English, so that was a major challenge. Back then, my community was very close. My family was very close. I grew up in a Catholic home, going to an old Catholic high school, so you could imagine going to church on Sunday was a must. And I honestly never felt alone because I always had a cousin or an uncle or an aunt. I always had people around me, and even in the neighborhood, it felt like everybody knew everybody and we were always playing outside. So I think I know I had a happy childhood until my dad passed away. That's when things changed.
Yeah.
But overall, my mom did a great job.
Yeah. And where do you live now?
I live in New York.
Okay.
I'm based in Westchester.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
And do you remember, like, at what point in your life you started to kind of understand yourself as part of the LGBTQ plus community, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, that took a while because, as I mentioned earlier, growing up in a Catholic family, that was not something that you can talk about.
Yeah.
It was not something that you can think about. So it wasn't until I moved to New York that I was able to, also through social media in a way and connecting with other people, understand that that feeling that I had growing up was actually something that is valid.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen until my early 20s. when I realized that I was attracted to women and what I felt was more than just, oh, she's pretty, she's hot.
I love that, that you kind of ended up in this field and also started to understand your queer identity through access to technology and like through the internet and everything.
Right. I think that in a way it served as a safe space where I can explore it and look at what I couldn't see at home, what people couldn't talk to me about, what people were not allowed to talk to me about, especially my mom, who's a devoted Catholic. It was a challenge there, but after some time she was able to understand. But I feel like going into social media and even reading information from other people made me feel, I would say in a way, less alone. Because I knew that there was nothing weird or wrong with me. It was actually something natural. It's sad that it took until my 20s to get there.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm right there with you. Did you have a first favorite like website or platform or anything? Do you remember?
Oh my God, you're gonna know how old I am now. It was probably AOL. I was fascinated by the fact that you can actually meet with people who were not right there in the room with you. And this was the beginning of technology. I mean, I had a modem. I could hear it dialing in. I had to make sure everybody was off the phone so that I can connect to the internet. So yes, I'm dating myself, but probably AOL.
Yeah, that's okay. I remember AOL.
You too? Okay, I feel better now. Thank you.
And could you talk about like what were your first access to queer spaces growing up? I guess besides the internet, and what did that look like for you? Or if it wasn't growing up, if that was kind of in your early 20s or whenever that was for you, like what were your first?
Yeah,
queer spaces?
growing up, I wouldn't see any of that. I was not allowed to see any of that. I know that when I went to college, actually in New York, I remember some of my girlfriends talking about it. And I have always been a curious child, so I would always ask questions so that I can understand what people are talking about. But I would say that it was the internet that helped me go into a search and ask questions and see what comes up. We had some video back then, not a lot. I think as video became available, then I could watch other people speak about their experiences, but it took a while. It really took a long time. I felt like I was on my own for a while. I'm lucky that I have an amazing sister who always supported me no matter what. So I would say I explore a lot of things on my own. It was trial and fail. Yeah.
And so you mentioned your sister, and whether it was her or other people, did you have any role models growing up?
No, not really. It was really hard for me, especially going into the tech field, being a Latina and being lesbian. My friends would normally say, like, what else? Like, how many things are you adding to this list? I really never saw anyone who looked or sounded like me. Mind you, when I first came in, I had a huge accent. You couldn't understand half the words that I was saying. So that made everything even more complicated. And that's one of the reasons I love mentoring young women today. I would say that when I went to college, not my first college, but my second one, one of my teachers was teaching networking technology and she was Latina and lesbian. And I was like, oh my God, that is so insane. She's doing what I want to do because I knew I wanted to go into technology. And she's able to do that as a Latina because I could hear her accent. And that was the first time that I told myself, oh, okay, this is fine. This is possible. It's good. After that, I would say books and authors were my role models or people that I would watch on TV, and it wasn't a lot of that. I always say I'm a huge Oprah fan. And the Super Soul Sunday conversations, I'm a very spiritual person. A lot of that really helped me learn to love myself just as I am. I think that was part of that.
And I love that you had a teacher that you were able to that was able to create that visibility for you. Was she like out with the class or?
No, back then you couldn't do that. She was not. And we're still connected today, which is amazing. She was actually a mentor because she helped me have my first real job at the City University of New York. And I'm very grateful for her help and assistance. But no, I just knew because I learned that I have a very good gator. So I knew, but it wasn't something where you would say, hey, I'm this. You just know. I mean, I just knew. She would never say anything. She didn't have to say anything, which was, I think, beautiful about it, that she didn't have to say anything. I knew it. I saw her and I saw myself in her. Yeah.
It's beautiful to hear about like the impact that she had just by being in the same room, even
without
without
even
talking
knowing
about
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I talk about today, because it was not easy making it to the C-suite as a Latina, lesbian.
Yeah.
But I know that there's so many girls that are looking
Yeah.
at it, right? And it gives them like a chance to say, oh my gosh, she didn't speak English
Yeah.
at 17.
Yeah.
If she was able to do that, imagine what I could do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you could maybe say a few things about like the importance of mentorship as somebody who's had mentors and also who has been a mentor. Like, why is it so important to find mentorship? And you could talk about that, like, you know, as any part of your identity or just like professionally or both. Like,
I think you would know that mentorship is so important to me that I deliver a TEDx talk on it.
Yeah.
And it was one of the ways that I wanted to say thank you to one of my mentors who happened to be a male, because people sometimes think that your mentor needs to look and sound like you, and that's not true. I've been very lucky because I've had 3 mentors and I'm connected with all of them, because for me these are like lifetime relationships. And a mentor for me was someone who was able to look at me and see things that I couldn't see myself.
Yeah.
If you ask me today, I would probably say focus on finding a sponsor, not only a mentor, because now I understand the importance of having a sponsor, and I don't think we speak enough about it. But for me, a mentor, my goodness, I mean, I was never ready for the next promotion.
Yeah.
My mentors always saw that I was ready for the next promotion. One of my mentors was my boss, and he would come to me and say, okay, Elaine, I think you're ready to be a director.
Yeah.
And I would look at him like, yes, okay. Because, you know, we have that imposter syndrome that in a way never goes away. So I'm very grateful, and I understand that sometimes it's not easy for people to find mentors, because I get questions like that on LinkedIn all the time. And I would say, be passionate about what you do, and the right people will see you. Because I never ask anyone, did you want to be my mentor?
Yeah.
I've never done that. It's like a relationship that happens organically. And then they know, and you know, and I know that people I'm mentoring today, they didn't ask me. I see value and I want to help, and then we just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it helped change my life. I work really hard, so I'm not gonna give them all the credit.
Good.
I work really hard, but that push
Yeah.
that some of us needed, I was able to get that from my mentors.
Yeah. Could you say a couple words about the difference between mentorship and sponsorship?
Yes, I love that question. So a mentor is someone who provides guidance. You call them when you need help. A sponsor is someone who's walking into a room that you don't have access to, and they say your name.
Yeah.
And they can advocate on your behalf, and they can help you get that promotion, and they share your name when there is a position that's coming up. So it's more valuable, and it's more difficult to find a sponsor because they're putting their name on the line. But the benefits of having a sponsor are way bigger than those of having a mentor.
Yeah.
And you don't need one mentor. You can have multiple. And I mean, authors that I follow, I call them my mentors. They just don't know me yet.
Yeah. I love that, like an advocate, or
Yes.
talk about like what allyship looks like, and like kind of the shift towards like an accomplice and like somebody who's like really out there advocating for you and in the spaces that, you know. you don't have
Yes.
access
And
to.
sometimes it's an ally who would become your mentor. And you don't know that in advance, and you cannot see that in advance.
Yeah.
I always say, focus on yourself, focus on sharing the value that you bring.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women, especially, I would speak about my community. A lot of Latinas are really afraid of speaking up or showing off. So they don't advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
And I had to go through a process of unlearning so that I could be comfortable being uncomfortable and saying, hey, this is what I did over the weekend. This is the project I completed. So I speak a lot about learning how to advocate for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it.
Right.
And everybody thinks your manager is going to do it, but they're worried about themselves. So
Yeah.
you need to worry about yourself.
Yeah, that's so important. And I also love what you mentioned about like, you know, sometimes there's an idea that like a mentor has to like look like you, and like sometimes that's the case, but sometimes it's not.
Yes.
And like in the PAS program, we have a mentorship program, and one of the things that we do is we have kind of like I guess like a menu of mentors that we have in the program, and we let the mentees decide, and they have to tell us why they want to connect with that person. And it's so cool to see the different reasons, because sometimes it's like sometimes it is like I'm a Latina lesbian who wants to be in tech, and like this person has that shared experience, but sometimes it's like this person also grew up in North Carolina, and so we have this like shared thing. Or sometimes it's like, I don't know, this person also likes tennis. Like sometimes it's like these connection points that are not something that we would have necessarily assumed.
Love that you have like an a la carte menu.
Yeah.
I like talking about this. I think I posted an article about it because people sometimes have that misconception that they need to look like you. Besides that professor in college, my two mentors are two white male who are allies and advocates for women in tech and understand what I was going through. And that's not easy to find either. But don't block yourself from finding that, because sometimes they have more knowledge or a bigger advantage than someone who looks like you. You know what I mean? Exactly. So you also need to be strategic about it.
Sometimes it's learning those skills that others were socialized to have, and like we had never had access to like in our socializations. It's just learning like how to walk in a room and ask for what you deserve, or take up space. And
yes, we need to change that.
Yes. So I guess diving more kind of into your career path, do you remember you started to talk about like some of your experience in college and your first job, but do you remember where your interest in your career kind of started and like how you decided to take that path?
Yes, there were two places where it happened. First, it happened with my brother. He was a gamer and he loved computers. He's the oldest out of the three of us. And he would open computers and change parts, and I would watch him. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? What is this thing? I think being naive was good for me, because knowing what I know now, I probably would hesitate to go into technology. And I know a lot of people feel that way, but I didn't know any of that. So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I didn't think I only see men doing that. All I thought was, oh, that looks like fun. How can I do that? Then when I went into college, I worked at the computer lab, helping people with their computer and Word document and printing. And I loved the customer service side of it. And so I started at the help desk because I'm so connected to helping others. I think that's where it started. I love helping people. And then slowly and through hard work, I kept getting promoted. And we can talk more about that later if you want.
So you're kind of talking about how you got into that, but like from an education perspective, like what did your educational path look like? Whether that's like your traditional education in college and also the ways that you've learned along the way.
Yes. I consider myself a lifelong learner, and it's bad. Like in my brain, like I listen to maybe 3 podcasts every day, different ones, and I'm reading and I'm taking classes. So I don't think that will ever end. I went to a community college first, and my major was liberal arts because I didn't speak English. Let's begin with that. Then I transferred to a 4-year school, and I got a degree in computer information systems. So that's when I knew, okay, I like computers, let me do this. I started working at the same time, and so I've always worked and gone to school at the same time. I decided that I wanted to get a technical degree because I wanted to get a job faster to get in. I don't know if you know this, but sometimes in college, like they don't teach you all the skills that you need right away. And so I wanted to focus on getting certifications. And I heard about A+ and Network Plus and PNP later on. So I went to a school in New York called TCI. I don't even know if it still exists. And I did a networking technology degree. And so I did computer science until my bachelor's. And then when it came time for my master's, I was already managing people. And I was telling myself, well, I know technology. And in my mind, if you want to learn anything in technology, for me, it's very easy. Like, just give me a weekend, give me YouTube, and I'm going to figure it out. So I did my master's in business management and leadership because I wanted to continue to lead people. I wanted to do it well. I think that it came naturally to me because I'm such a people person, and I love people. So at the end, I did business management while I was still working full time. So I think the certifications, the education, the mentors, the being curious is what really helped me stay in technology, not worry so much about the things I was dealing with because it was not easy. I dealt with some microaggressions and people stealing my ideas and all of the things we know happen when you're in technology. But I knew that My mom worked too hard to get us to this country, so I had to do it for her. I work harder than anyone else around me because I had no choice. And I think that's one of the reasons I was able to make it to the C-suite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that emphasis on like furthering education in official ways of like through certifications and everything, but just through being curious and like learning about new things and being in new spaces. And I like that you mentioned kind of, you know, when you started college and not speaking English, but also thinking like learning that like language, but also thinking about like when you're learning these sciences, like you're also learning language. Like as somebody who's not a programmer, like I don't speak those languages. So it's like when you're learning those things, there's always kind of a language learning.
Listen, I remember I was going to City College and I was taking C++. And I was learning English and I was learning C++ at the same time. Yeah. I'm proud today to say I failed my first time. I had to take the class again because I imagine walking around with a dictionary.
Yeah.
Because out of a sentence, maybe there is one word that I don't know how to translate. And until I get that word, I cannot fully express myself.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of years not able to express myself fully because I didn't have the words for it. The other thing I would mention is don't wait for your workplace to take care of you.
Yeah.
Get your certifications, pay for the things that you want to do because you're investing in yourself. So I always told myself, okay, I have my budget. This is the year. Next year, I'm learning PMP. Okay, I'm paying for this training. It's going to be a week.
Yeah.
This is how much the exam is going to cost. I'm going to do it. I'm not waiting for any job or manager to do that for me because I'm living with it.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that you also don't wait for other people to do things for you and just take action. Yeah.
Do you think that you could talk a little bit more through like your trajectory into leadership? Because I think that representation is really important. So maybe we could just kind of talk about like what that path has been like for you and like maybe even some of your leadership values. Yeah,
that's great. I started working in computers as a help desk technician. It's a funny story because when I was hired to be the secretary, but the desk was not ready. So they asked me to sit at the help desk until they finished the desk, and I never moved back because I love helping people so much, and I learned very fast. I was listening to them. I was like, I could do this. Yeah. Why not? I think that's one of the things that I always tell myself. I could do this. Like if other people can do it, why can't I? I could do this. So I started at the help desk. I loved it. I got promoted to supervisor. This was like a point of sale company. So we used to install the touchscreens that you see at the restaurants for where the employees are putting menu item orders that go into the kitchen and the bar. So I used to do that. I used to program the database for the menu items and I loved it. I got promoted to supervisor there. And I would say that because I'm so curious, I'm going to repeat that 100 times. That really helps me get promoted because I'm always thinking, what's the next thing? What are they doing? How do I learn about that? Let me do it on the weekend while I'm not doing anything. So that's where I started. And then I transferred to the City University of New York. I was working at the Graduate Center and I was hired as a help desk supervisor, which I love. I could do that forever. I could do it today. I love the help desk. And I think because I could tell you when you work at a help desk, you could do anything. Yeah. Because you're dealing with people who are usually not happy when they call you. Yeah. So if you can deal with that, you can deal with the C-suite, you can deal with the CEO, you can deal with anyone. Working at the Graduate Center was a great experience for me because there was so much diversity. I mean, my technicians, we had like 16 languages in one building. Wow. And I love that. I got promoted to manager a few years into it. I think because of, I'm gonna go back to just wanting to learn and understand what's happening. One other thing that I did often is I always make sure my boss looked good and got what they needed. Yeah. Like, what do you need? I'm here to do it. I'll do it for you. I think that served me well. Not overworking myself. We're not talking about burnout, but just being of service. I feel like I'm always a person of service. So I got promoted into management. And I think because I kept going for certifications and I'm curious, so whenever we had a new program that we would launch, I would sit down and watch the training and learn how to do it myself. A few years later, I got promoted to the director of the client services team. So now I had not only the technicians at the help desk, but also the technicians that would go on site, outside and visit users and help with issues and create the image for the computers and all of that. I did that for a few years. And then a few years later, I got promoted to acting CIO. And when the CIO left, I interviewed for the position and I was appointed CIO. So everybody there knew me from the time I was a help desk manager, which I think made it easier for me because I knew everyone. I knew the people in the networking team, the audiovisual team joined us later on. And I feel that I think it all kept happening because I was surrounded by people who knew me. I was able to be myself later on, not right away. We can talk about that later. And I had a manager and a leader who supported me and allowed me to be myself 100%, which I think was really important. Because before that, before he came in, I was kind of hiding. I wasn't fully out and I wasn't myself. And I feel that I wasn't able to give all of me because of it.
I feel like it's so important for, you know, leaders to have kind of insight into even just the day-to-day work that like everybody who's working under them is doing, like, and knowing kind of what that day in and day out so that you have that connection and provide that leadership. But I also, like, I always love to think about the moments in life, like you mentioned, like you ended up at the help desk just because the other desk wasn't ready. Like, like you ended up in your career because there was like a broken desk. Like that, like,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I
like
still think about it today.
And you started to talk about this right now about like when you started to feel comfortable being out in work, like as you've navigated your career kind of in different positions and just like throughout time, like have you felt like there's been space for LGBTQ folks in this field? And like what has that looked like for you throughout your career?
It was not easy at the beginning because I would say I wasn't comfortable with myself. Maybe I was blaming other people, but in reality, I wasn't comfortable with myself. Mostly because of the way I grew up and all of the stigma that I grew up around. So I can remember moments where I would walk into the workplace and my brain would switch and I was another person. Like this is one version of Elaine who's coming to work and no one knew anything about me. And I remember being in meetings with the leadership where people would say like, how was your weekend? And in my brain, I'm like, oh my God, do I say partner? What do I say? Because I think in a way, I didn't want them to be uncomfortable either, which is insane, but that's just, I'm an empath, so I feel a lot. I didn't want to make people uncomfortable. And when you come from another country, and I don't know if it's only when you come from another country, you have this desire to fit in. You want to be a part of anything. And so I wanted to be a part of the group. And I was thinking, well, if they know I'm lesbian, they're going to look at me differently. And I'm not going to be part of it. And that's going to be sad. So that happened for years until I couldn't do it anymore. I was exhausted. I felt more comfortable in my skin, of course. And I remember going into my boss's office and I said, I got to talk to you. I have something to tell you. And I shared with him and he looked at me. He was like, okay, so what? And I felt so stupid. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I just want to make sure you know because this is me. And I can tell you my life changed after that day because I was able to be myself everywhere. It doesn't mean I was comfortable saying it everywhere. Especially the higher I went, there were places, there are still places today where I'm careful and I'm cautious and I like to read the room and I like to feel the room and see what people are talking about before I feel comfortable sharing myself fully. So I still don't do it everywhere, but I'm way more comfortable doing it now. And if they don't know it, it's because they're not online, because I mean, that's everywhere. I talk about it all the time.
Based on your personal experiences, do you feel like you can talk about STEAM fields as a whole, or if you want to talk about like tech specifically, do you feel like there are barriers to entry that LGBTQ folks face in getting into those fields and having access to those careers?
Definitely. Yes. There is so much bias. I'm fascinated by bias, by the way, because I know we all have it. I know I have it. I know we all have it. And it's so hard for people to get rid of it because I've been working on this for a while and I've developed workshops and I've provided workshops to groups. I remember at the Graduate Center, I paired with the HR department and we did a workshop for a week on diversity and inclusion. It's really difficult for people to go into a room for one day and then come out of the room and say, okay, I got it. I'm going to get rid of it. It doesn't happen that way. And so there is a lot of bias still in the workplace. There is a lot of bias in the hiring process. I'm still hoping that we can change that. I don't know if you ever watched The Voice. It's one of my favorite shows. And they have blind auditions. And I always say, well, we should have blind auditions. We should remove the names from the resume. We should remove anything that shows your age. Because it works against you. Even my name, even someone who cannot pronounce Montilla will probably look at my resume and say, oh, maybe that's too difficult. I don't want to deal with that. And that's one of the reasons I work so hard. That's one of the reasons I study so much. That's one of the reasons I got so many certifications, because I wanted to make sure that when people saw my resume, they couldn't look away just because of my name sounded different. But a lot of people go through that today. And so there's a lot of bias in the hiring process. There's still people who, hire people who look and sound like them. And it's sometimes difficult to change. So yeah, it is difficult, especially if you look gay, then it's even more difficult. I always say that it's been easier for me because you can tell when you see me, like, oh, Elaine is lesbian. No one can tell. So that was it is a huge advantage for me because people don't have that bias when they first meet me. They will have it when they find out later on. But a lot of members of the LGBTQ community face that the moment they walk in without opening their mouths, which makes me really sad. But we still have a lot of work to do. It seems like we're going backwards. In a way, not to get political, but that's why we need more people who can speak up and write articles and do interviews and be role models for others so that they can see what's possible, because it could be scary at times.
Creating that visibility.
Right.
I'm curious, as somebody who's worked in leadership, and maybe I'm assuming wrong, but I'm assuming you participated in like hiring processes and things like that. So like, do you have any tips that you would pass along to other employers or just other folks in leadership in terms of like things that you've done to try to eliminate that bias or like be proactively, I guess, supportive of those candidates or those employees? Like
That's a great question. Something that really worked well for me, especially at the Graduate Center, is the fact that we created a grid that focused on the skills. And so if you went through for an interview, it's not because of your name, it's not because of anything that was on the resume, it's because we're looking at the skills and you got enough access to make it through, right? And I remember getting results, and sometimes I would go back and I would go and look at the resumes myself. And so that's what we need. We need people we need leaders who are intentional about this work and who are willing to do the work, because a lot of people would say, well, that takes a lot of time. Well, everything takes a lot of time. Why wouldn't you take the time to do this? And so sometimes I would go back and look at the resumes and go back to my manager and say, what happened with this person? Why do you don't think they qualify? So it's good. You can ask questions. There's nothing wrong with that. And then the interview process, we need to make sure, and I've done this everywhere I go, that everyone gets asked the exact same questions. Because that's when the bias comes in. When you deviate from making sure that everybody is having the same experience in a way. And so same questions, grid, write it down. We have a voting system. We'll have conversations because you also see the person as a person, and there are other things that you may notice. We can talk about it. But I feel that that's important. And then besides that, I think what happens sometimes is when you hire someone and the hiring process is completed, we forget about them. They come in and there isn't an onboarding process, there is no one taking care of them, or we don't spend the time to even understand where they come from. What do you like? I mean, I love the reviews that we do once a year, but I don't think you should do it once a year. You need to do it constantly. You need to ask questions. I always question people who get assigned to projects. Why is the same person getting assigned to projects? What happened with this person? And I do the same thing in meetings. I write down who's speaking, and at the end I go back to anyone who didn't speak and say, what do you think? What are your thoughts? So it's about being inclusive and intentional, and it takes time.
I love that about kind of like very intentionally making space for just folks to speak. Like that makes a big difference, because eventually they become empowered to speak out on their own. And like also, not to oversimplify these things, but I feel like sometimes it's not that hard. Like sometimes it is just making it very mathematical, and like, you're kind of creating an equation of like, these are the folks that we should hire. And like, it doesn't, I don't know, just a lot of, I think sometimes we overcomplicate those things, but it's like, creating or like doing things in a way that's biased is actually overcomplicating things a lot.
The other thing that I learned going through so many hiring processes is that the most technical person is not always the best hire. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for people to see that sometimes. I took a chance on 2 different people when I worked at CUNY, and they were my best employees because they had this hunger to learn and do more. And that can make such a huge difference. You can have someone who's very technical, knows everything, and is not worried about finishing a project, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to use common sense also. And maybe for me, because I'm an empath, I get a lot from a person without them speaking, but you want to be intentional, and it really takes a lot of time. Yeah.
And those are the people you have to interact with every single day when you show up for work. So it's like sometimes those like soft skills of being somebody who's like easy to get along with or easy to have a conversation with or provide feedback to, like sometimes those are the things that take you
even
way
more now when you hear all these conversations around AI. I mean, AI will take over all of that.
Yeah.
But our soft skills, I don't think they're soft, but that's what
I
they're
agree.
called.
Yeah.
I don't like that term.
Yeah.
Our power skills
Yeah.
are the ones that are going to be the most important moving forward. I think public speaking, emotional intelligence, reasoning, and just being able to understand where other people are coming from. I think those skills are going to become more relevant moving forward.
Yeah. And I'll be excited to see it too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And do you feel like in the spaces that you work, do you feel like your kind of perspective and background have felt valued? And I guess building onto that question, like what do you feel like you bring into your work because of your own lived experience that somebody who has a different lived experience probably wouldn't be able to bring into your work in the same way?
Oh God, I bring so much. You have I mean, look at this. I would not say that every place felt welcoming. I would say that is one of the reasons why today I'm in between roles and I'm very intentional about the place I'm going to next. For the most part, yes, I've had an amazing experience. I've been, as a woman, I've felt respected by everyone who works with me. But you know, there is always 1 or 2 individuals who didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
And you just have to learn how to address them.
Yeah.
And how to feel empowered enough to stand your ground and use your voice, which is not always easy. It took me years actually to be comfortable using my voice.
Yeah.
And so I want to say that it's not something that happens overnight. It took a lot of practice. What do I bring to a company? Oh my goodness, so much. The fact that I'm Latina and that I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic brings a lot of information that I don't think I would have if I was raised here. My sense of community and the way I was brought up, the way that I had to overcome so many challenges helps me see humans in a different way and have more compassion for them. That's one of the reasons I practice human-centered leadership, compassionate leadership. I do hold people accountable, and everybody knows that. Yeah. I always say, you could get things done. You don't need to be nasty about it, but you could get things done if you need them done. So I use beautiful words for it. Yeah, I think everybody knows that they could be themselves in front of me. I spent a lot of time creating safe spaces. My first year working at Pearson, I had open hour Fridays for everyone to come in and meet with me with no agenda. It was just a Teams channel open, come in, let's have a conversation. And I can tell you, I learned more those Fridays than the formal meetings that we were having. Mind you, I had over 300 people on them. So I didn't get to talk to everyone, but those are the little things that you could do as an ally or as a person who values diversity that people will see. It's not a one. Sometimes people ask like, what's this one thing that I could do? Can you help me? It's a lot of little things. It's giving people a voice in the meeting. It's knowing how to respond when someone makes a mistake. That's a big one because that's the reason why people want to be quiet around you, because you're showing them they need to be quiet.
Right.
So I think that respect is important. And I also think that I'm hoping we get to a point where we could remove labels. And we don't have to worry about labels.
Yeah.
I see you as a human being. I don't care about any of the other labels you have. Let's start there.
Yeah. I feel like it must be an amazing experience working for you. Like, I feel like you're bringing so much to just like humanity to the workplace that I feel like sometimes gets left at the door because it's like, it's time to be professional, but it's like that.
But who say you cannot do all of it?
Right.
I think sometimes people are saying you need to do this or you need to do this. How about and?
Right.
You could do this and you could do this at the same time.
Yeah.
We just haven't modeled that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess thinking about the role that STEAM fields play in our world, and just, thinking about every aspect that they touch of like our daily lives and the world that we live in, why is it so important for LGBTQ folks to be represented in those fields?
Oh my God, we need diversity of thought. I mean, I think LGBTQ humans are known for being creative. We need that sauce, just like the Latinx sauce is needed there, just like the Black sauce, everything, all of it makes it better. Even when you're working at the help desk or you're selling a product, you want to make sure that you understand who's on the other side, right? So how can we create products or create systems where we don't take everyone into consideration? Something is missing and you're losing money financially. There is a lot of research that shows that diverse companies make more money. And so why wouldn't we do that? I think because I speak Spanish, it's actually my first language. I have more ideas that I can contribute than if I was just, I don't want to say just because I don't want to minimize someone who was born here, but I do have more ideas and I could be ideas that are different from someone who was born here. So I think that diversity helps with serving people, serving our customers, creating products, coming up with new ideas, or even when you're doing like testing for a new app, like there are things that we think about as Latinos or as Indian that maybe an American or someone from Brazil wouldn't think about. So all of that is needed.
Yeah. I love thinking about like the way that language shapes the way that we think. And so like thinking about like maybe folks who are not monolingual having kind of an expanded access to like different ideas and different ways of thinking about things.
And expressing themselves too. I love that.
In an ideal world, what would a truly inclusive and equitable STEAM industry look like?
We would have a lot of everything. A lot of men, a lot of women, a lot of diversity. I want to see a place where we don't have labels anymore and we don't have to worry about labels anymore. I want to see a place where you can be yourself and not be scared coming into work and not be scared about the thing you want to say. Because somebody else is gonna feel offended by it. And I want us to be respectful too at the same time. So I'm hoping that we can get there. I think we were making a lot of progress and it seems like it's going a little bit backwards now, but we can continue.
It's not too late.
Let's not lose hope. Yes, that's what I tell myself every morning. Let's not lose hope.
Could you tell us about a project that you've loved working on and what made it exciting or meaningful?
Yes, there's so many. I can tell you that building 5X Minority is probably the top of the list because I did not know what I was doing. I had no clue. I think sometimes you think about being a leader and working for someone else. When you have done all of that for so many years and you say, well, I want to be an entrepreneur now on top of that. There was no book for me. There was no one that I can talk to. So I'm very proud of that because it started as a blog. I just wanted to write and I wanted to share my experiences. One of the things that I learned is that so many people did not know what happens in the C-suite, what happens in leadership positions. So I was like, I have to talk about this. Other women need to know what's going on here. So it really started as a blog. And then after I delivered my TEDx talk, then it blew up. Then I had so many people reaching out and contacting me and making me cry because they were sharing their stories and they felt seen by me, which always makes me proud and happy. I'm happy because I serve as a guide, maybe like a little light for a Latina or a person of color who maybe doesn't know where life is going or is not comfortable yet being themselves, which is fine, take your time. And I like sharing knowledge. I think knowledge is power and I understand that now more than ever before. And we have to continue to do that so that others can see it and then maybe gain a little bit of courage when they're ready to do the same thing. Because I used to think, oh, I'm only one person. Like, what am I going to do? And then I saw my LinkedIn growing and growing. I was like, oh no, I could do a lot. I'll keep talking.
I love that you mentioned, for folks who might not exactly know where they're going, like that's fine and that's okay. Because I think sometimes
perfectly fine.
Exactly
don't let anyone rush you.
Yeah.
Yes.
This question is a little similar, so if it's the same answer, we can skip over it. But what are you most proud of in your career so far? Or it could be in your personal life.
I'm going to go with my personal life. My mom moved here in her 40s and as a single mom of 3. And she is my number one role model. And she works so hard to make sure that we got an education. Education for her was everything, thank God. And so the proudest moment for me was buying my mom an apartment and letting her know there was no need to pay for rent anymore. I feel like I never find enough ways to say thank you to her, to show her how much I love her and I appreciate her. So I think that was like one little thing financially that I was able to do to give her peace. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
And do you have any kind of future professional or personal goals that you want to achieve?
Yes, I want to write a book. It seems like a big challenge and I always start and then I let it go. And so I decided I'll create a few guides and ebooks so that I can get comfortable with it. I'm also thinking of the possibility of teaching executive programs for women.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about that. There's so many things. And I think that with AI now, the possibilities are endless. So I'm spending time playing with all the LLMs and educating myself and trying to find out what's the next thing that's coming. Yeah, but I'm excited about that.
Keep us posted.
Yes.
And outside of work, what do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies or passions?
I love traveling. Number one, I love going on walks or hikes with my dog Nola. She's my therapist. I love therapy too. I'm a very spiritual person, so I love meditating and journaling. I feel like a lot of my ideas come, if it's not in the shower, it's when I'm meditating. I understand the importance of like silence and having peace. And I think that's when people say, what do you want? Instead of being happy, I just say, I want peace. I just want to have peace. That's what I want. But I love, connecting with my friends and my family and traveling.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite place you've traveled to?
Yes. Oh my God, there's so many. Number one, it would probably be Cambodia.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
My body felt different when I landed.
Wow.
I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to stay there.
Wow.
Yes.
That's very cool. In your opinion, what would a better world for LGBTQ folks look like?
When you said that, it automatically made me think about transgender kids because I feel like they're suffering the most right now. I'm hoping that we get to a place where we could all be fully ourselves and not be scared of showing that externally. I'm hoping that there is more compassion in the world and that, by the way, I have a t-shirt company that I'm opening and I have a t-shirt, the first one I made said, "Love is love" with the gay rainbow. And I did that thinking about what else can we do so that we can help, because it seems like sometimes it feels like our hands are tied and there's nothing we could do. But I'm sure that just like by creating 5X Minority, there will be other little things that I can find so that I can be of service. But I'm hoping that we can not walk around being scared of being fully ourselves. You could dress however you want. You can do whatever you want with your hair. You don't have to worry about anything. And you can share who you fully are in front of everyone. I'm hoping that there is more compassion because I think that's what's needed. Yeah.
And is there any advice that you would give to your younger self, knowing everything that you know now?
Ooh, I would probably tell my younger self, it will be okay. It will be okay. Sometimes I worry too much about not knowing the future. And that's what my spiritual side is working on right now through me. I'm learning how to surrender more and not want to have control of everything. So I would probably say, it will be fine. Go with your gut, follow your gut, and it will be fine.
And do you have any advice that you would want to give to LGBTQ youth, I guess, either, I think, especially thinking about the next generation of folks who are interested in coming into STEAM fields, what advice would you want to leave them with?
Own your voice. There is no one like you. One of the things that I learned coming into this country is that everything that I thought made me small ended up being a superpower. And I feel that it takes time sometimes for you to see that. My accent was a superpower because it told people that I spoke more than a language. My curly hair was a superpower. I was amazed at how many people loved it because I wanted straight hair. So find out what you're passionate about. Even if it's one step, take that one step. Take your time. Don't let anyone rush you. But your voice is needed, especially now, more than ever. I want to make sure that they also feel safe and comfortable as they do that. But you may think that you're not gonna make a difference, but you will. Find your tribe, find your people, find your community, and it will be a lot easier.
This is optional, but if there's anything that you want to plug today for our listeners, where they can find you, if you want to share that information, or any of your projects or anything that you would like people to check out.
Yes. Oh, I love that question. So find me at 5xminority.com. I'm also available on LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok. I'm learning how to do TikTok. Be patient with me. And at the end of September, I'm going to be moderating an interview with Mita Malik at the Out in Tech conference here in Brooklyn. Actually, it's going to be here in Brooklyn. So I welcome everyone to come and if you see me, say hi and join me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was such an incredible experience getting to hear your story.
It was a lot of
today,
fun.
so
And thank you for creating a space for us to have a voice.
Yeah, of course. We love to do it. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, you! Yes, you! Thank you for listening to this episode of Paths from LGBT Tech. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to never miss another episode. Show your support and allow us to keep sharing these stories. Didn't get enough? Check out past interviews to hear from more amazing queer professionals in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. See you next time.